Hello, everybody, and welcome to this tonight's episode of Tales of Escuria, episode number 18. So, as always, just to say we are in association with and presented by Horsham Gamers. We are a local group who cover the whole range of gaming, through from tabletop and roleplay stuff like this, through board gaming, esports, online gaming. We also now cover creative subjects, courtesy of our own party rogue here. Basically, if it's anything to do with nerd culture or gaming in general, we're into it too, and we'd love to meet some of you. It was fantastic this weekend to see so many of you down for our event down at the Drill Hall, but there's always plenty of stuff going on, and I'm looking forward to meeting some more of you to chat some D&D sometime. So, without further ado, let's get on with tonight's episode of Tales of Escuria. So you guys have finished clearing up after yourselves in this church. The floor is beginning to go from kind of an icy sheen to just kind of like slightly damp along the carpet. There is still the unconscious body of the bugbear Torva just in the middle of the floor, but he seems to be, shall we say, sound asleep right now. You have a stockpile of various things that had been looted from the Salt Lord's Rest, kind of strewn around the place, and you guys have been examining some of the items that you found. And as you're in the middle of kind of sorting through these items and trying to figure out what to do next, you begin to hear the telltale sounds of wagons moving down the road. You begin to hear the sound of some distant hooves, and you know that the town is beginning to wake up. So, what would you guys like to do?
Rest. We wanted to rest.
Yeah, we should
Definitely rest.
sleep, shouldn't we? It's
Probably.
still night.
We've got time to do. Should we kind of get out of here and go and find somewhere to sleep, or should we just sleep here, or what should we do?
Yeah, the thing is, I have wounds from
I
the...
don't mind sleeping here.
I'm fine with sleeping here if everyone else is.
I'm okay.
Tammy, you gotta unmute yourself, babe.
Yeah.
Cal said last session that this would in theory be a rest period, so we can regain our health and stuff.
Yeah, you guys will have you guys. This is kind of the end of you guys having at least a short rest, if not a long rest. Up to you guys what you want to do.
Long rest. I want my portent.
I thought you
so
might.
we would have had that before before right now.
This is like
Can I
the
roll
next
my
morning.
portent?
Yes, roll your portent.
Okay.
Roll away. Okay, 27, a 14, a 13.
Wow.
What's that
Wow. How
Uh,
how average can I roll? How?
it's more slightly above average. A 14 is not to be sniffed at. Who knows?
The 14 is okay.
Yeah. You know, for saving throws and such, that's pretty good. Anyway, so yes, to answer your question, Robin. As part of Eminora's School of Wizardry, she occasionally gets little glimpses of the future.
Oh.
And through rolling those, it means that she now has a 14 and a 13, which at any point during this day, she can substitute whatever someone rolls for one of these numbers instead.
Oh, okay. I didn't realise that's what it's called. I remember it from last time.
Yeah, no worries.
Cool. Thanks.
Okay. So you guys are awaking, and the town seems to be beginning to move. You can hear the sound of a what seems to be a crowd kind of forming, presumably either outside the church or a little further up the road outside the Salt Lord's Rest. What are you guys gonna do?
I'm going to start tidying up the church, but while no one's watching, I am going to take some of the blood of Gelric on my finger and rub it on the web of my necklace.
Okay,
Disgusting.
easy enough to do.
deal with it.
Yeah. It's very odd that as someone who has been in the priesthood of love for a long time, you're used to dealing with other people's blood, but this is odd. Do you think you ever would have dealt with the blood of a half-orc before?
I don't know. Maybe not. Probably not myself, being
Mhm.
that before I was sort of in training and a slave. So
I think the word for it is it's more viscous than you would expect blood to be. It kind of like sticks to your hands a bit more, and like. Ugh.
I just wiped the remainder on my sash.
Mhm. Okay. What are the rest
And
of you
start
doing?
tidying up.
So the people are walking around. I would take Elend with me and Alessia and go to Roku, since she has the wounded.
Yeah, true.
Okay.
And the people that was hurt.
Okay. So you guys just gonna like walk out and try and head in that direction, or are you like trying to sneak away from the scene?
No, I think we walk normally.
Yeah,
I
we
just
will
walk
work.
normally.
Okay.
I mean, I won't have many luck again for sneaking.
Yeah.
That was so perfect last time.
Yeah. Once in a lifetime, giant barbarian manages a stealth roll. So yeah. As you guys are heading outside, you can see the scene before you. The Salt Lord's Rest itself at this point seems to mostly just be charcoal. There's barely anything left. The combination of the kind of wooden structure and the thin paper walls, it's just there's barely anything left to it. You still see the stone stairway that leads up to it, and the bottom level that would contain the library. That stone wall is still there, but everything above that is just gone. You can see that there are a few people who have been carrying buckets of water back and forth from the river and trying to kind of douse any small flames that are still going, or seem to try and cool down some of the remains. But largely, what you can see is just a large number of people just standing around and looking as if they have no idea what to do. There's
I have a couple of questions to this whole situation.
Mhm.
I investigated the Sword Lord's plates pretty heavily. Can I
Yep.
tell if the fire was natural or if it just someone did it after I left?
Make an intelligence check. It's hard to tell. Conceivably, the fires that were still going when you were in there could have done this, or it's possible that someone could have added to the flames after. You just can't really tell. There's not much left to go on.
And also the other question is, do I know how usually political places go on after the leader was killed? So will House Warren do something, or is the community in charge of electing a new leader, or how does it work? Does she know?
Make a history check.
The thing is, his second one, like the elf that was with him, he's still alive. He is only hurt, so we should talk to him, shouldn't we?
I take the 13.
You take the 13 instead. Okay.
Yeah.
So you know that it's in most places you would expect them to have like a chain of command type thing that would go from one to the next to the next. House Varin is a little bit complicated. You know that previously in House Varin, it's kind of been a you keep what you kill, might makes right kind of thing. So whoever had succeeded in killing the previous Salt Lord could conceivably have been considered to take on the title. But it's not entirely clear if that's exactly how it would
That
work.
I'm going to be the next Salt Lord, yeah?
Yeah. But that's
It
what
means
I
that
was
someone will be the
thinking.
next Dark
I'm
Lord.
joking. I don't want it.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so.
You are
But
like
that's good to know.
Ranstar.
No, no, no,
Good to
no,
know.
no.
Do they have?
I'm
Do
more like
the
John.
do the people of the town have to accept the new Salt Lord? Is it preferable?
It's preferable because chances are if they don't, they will just kill them and then proclaim a new one.
Okay, yeah, good. Yeah, then we can go to Roku now.
Okay. So you take the time to head down to Roku's, and when you get there, you can see that a large amount of the stuff that she normally has kind of around the shop, a combination of like cauldrons and mortars and pestles and this kind of stuff, seems to have been cleared as much out to the sides of the room as possible. And on the kind of mud floor, you can see laid out a couple of stretchers. On one of them, you can see unconscious one of the palace guards. Seems to be asleep, and you can see that there's some pretty serious burns all up kind of his left arm, and just a little bit kind of up onto his neck. And there seems to have been kind of a slightly blued gel that seems to have been kind of put on top of these burns, that gives off just like a faint little bit of glowing light. And they seem to be kind of fairly peacefully asleep. You would suspect most likely under the influence of some kind of sleeping potion. And sitting up, drinking what looks like a cup of kind of leafy herbal tea. You can see the elf that you had rescued from the inside of the Salt Lord's Rest. And he's in the middle of kind of having a conversation with Roku, who is sat next to him, also drinking a cup of tea, and he just says, I don't know where we go from here. I mean, I owe pretty much everything I have to his family, and they're the ones who kind of brought me here, made me what I am now. I don't know if anyone else would really want my skills anymore. I might have to try and get a normal job. No. And you can see Roku just being like, I'm sure we could find some use for you. Maybe I could take you on as an assistant. And she's like looking up at you in the middle of this sentence and goes, "Oh, thank God you're here, Emanora, Alessia." Is everybody going to Roku's, by the way?
Ellen too?
And Ellen,
Ellen
because
for sure.
okay,
I take him with me
I'm
everywhere.
still tidying the church, but I am
I'm-
going to Ruby's later.
okay.
I'm gonna stick with Vixen. But I'm not gonna help tidy up. Sorry, but I'm gonna sit on a pew with my feet up and just keep an eye on her.
Mhm.
That's fine. I'm just humming away,
Cool.
mopping the floor.
So yeah, she looks up to you and kind of like stands up and says, It seems like a stupid question, but is everything all right?"
Everything all right is like, I wouldn't say everything, but most things are all right.
Okay. And then she kind of like wanders over to you, Emanora, and she looks like she's about to whisper something, and then she's like, "In a moment." And then she turns around, walks into the back, and you hear in your head her asking you, "Is he dead?"
Is it Salt Lord or Cleric? Because both are dead.
Oh. Good, bad. That's mixed. Okay. Good to know. She then comes back out from the back room, seemingly with she's picked up a little box, and she says, "Would you like some tea? I'd very much. I feel like we all need something to wake us up today."
Oh, sure. I still have my teapot with me. I'm pretty sure the tea set.
Okay. Do you get it out?
Yes, I give it to the half elf. I offer to use it right now.
When you kind of do that, like for the first, like, he's been looking kind of dejected and just kind of staring at his cup of tea. When he notices it kind of like in the corner of his eye, he looks and he's just like, I survived. Oh, thank. Oh, Loth be praised. Okay, there is at least something good this day.
There should be way more.
He kind of like walks over and he picks up the box of tea that Roko's just put down and says, if you wouldn't mind, this was my specialty. And he kind of very carefully starts measuring with like a small silver spoon, an exact amount of the leaves, puts them in the pot, kind of like arranges them inside, like goes over and like tests the temperature of some of the water and like pours it in. And he takes like a very long time, just kind of like, clearly he's like kind of like meditative, going through the ceremony of it to make sure that this tea is like perfect before pouring out a cup for everyone. He actually takes the cup he was halfway through drinking and just like chucks it over his shoulder and starts pouring more in to this one instead. And for a moment Roku looks offended, but then just decides not to say anything about it. Until eventually you can see that he has finished making a very, very nice cup of tea. And he kind of steps back and seems pleased with himself for a second.
At least something. All right. I asked him, what was his name? Do I remember his name? I would probably remember everybody's name if you told me.
Let me
What
see.
did she tell me?
I can't remember. I haven't got my my notebook here right now. Give me 2 seconds. I'll be right back.
I'll be back too.
His name was Caster.
Yeah, I think he told me. I remember that name
Mm-hmm.
for some reason. So, okay, then I said, Caster, I know you had a tough evening, night, morning, everything, but I think it's important to act fast in this situation. You're familiar with your political system here, right?
Yes, quite familiar. Why?
So, as far as I can tell, people will now look for the person who killed the Salt Lord to take his place.
Yes, almost certainly. If
I
only
know
we
who
knew.
did it, but this person is not alive anymore.
Interesting. Do you perhaps have any proof? I believe you, but the others might not.
I have the crown of the Salt Lord. You know that we didn't kill him. We had enough witnesses who probably did it. You and the two guards probably saw some people. So it wasn't us, but we have the crown now. So the person we punished for killing the Salt Lord was perhaps the person who killed the Salt Lord.
Yes, I believe that makes sense, and it's a clear enough. Yes. So the order of events seems to work out. I believe I'd be able to explain this to the rest of the crowd and make this clear. Who was it? Who did kill him?
The priest cleric.
There's a surprise. I've been keeping my eye on him for a long time.
Amongst his stuff, I found a picture that would probably interest you as well. I feel like it belongs to you, and I give him the picture of the Salt Lord that we got, like the painting.
He kind of unrolls it on the desk and kind of as it's been kind of rolled up into a scroll, he has to kind of like weigh it down at either end to keep it kind of from just rolling back up again. And he looks at it and examines it for a second, and you see him like starting to well up, like he's on the brink of tears, before just kind of like swallowing and standing back up and looking you in the eye and just saying, "Thank you." Really.
I put my hand on his shoulder. It's. I know it's tough. You will have some time to process everything, but right now I think we have to act.
Yeah,
Faster
they need a
than
leader.
everybody else.
Yes.
They need someone to lead them.
They will have lots of questions. I just hope I have the answers they need.
Do I have the feeling that he's also like a good leader? Would I have the feeling that he is like me, like a natural born politician?
Give me
Or
an
at
insight
least
check.
trained?
You get a pretty good read of him. Like the old kind of adage rings true that if you've seen someone at their worst, you really probably know them. And this guy is having a real bad day. But even through all of that, you can see that this guy, he might not have the kind of natural charisma of it, but he's smart and he's dedicated and he knows what he's talking about. And at least he would probably do a good job.
And I tell him, Costa, I know this is maybe a little bit sudden, but you can tell the story that happened, and we will provide you with the crown of the Salt Lord and our words that we saw. We helped you to kill Glaric, and with that, you would be the new Salt Lord.
No. I couldn't. No.
Trust me, I can see who is capable of leading this town, and I'm sure you are.
There's tradition in that. Tradition is everything in this town, and I did not kill the previous Salt Lord, so I should not inherit the right. Whoever should inherit that right should have been the one to kill Glaric, so...
We did it, but we don't want the place of the Salt Lord, and you helped us.
This is a lot to... I
know.
I
A
make
good
tea.
leader always grows from these situations. You're the closest person to the Salt Lord. I think he would want this.
Make a persuasion
I mean,
check
you know your
with
people.
advantage.
You're going to be working for them.
Okay. $18. When you're just saying like that you think that the Salt Lord would want this, he looks down at the family portrait again, and then just kind of like shakes his head and says, he'd hate to see everything like this. He'd hate to see people in... No. Okay, yes, right. We need to get things sorted. We need to tell the people what's happening, and then we'll let them decide. I'm still not sure I'm supposed to be the leader of this town, but if you believe in me, that's at least something. Maybe they will too, and maybe even I might start to believe it Oh god, this is terrible. Okay, let's go. And he kind of like downs basically his cup of tea like it's a shot, and then puts it down on the table and is like, oh. And you can see him like walking towards the door. Make a perception check. Both of you make a perception check, actually.
I can see everything.
Okay. Alessia, can you make a perception check, please?
Yes. I'm trying to sort out, like, because I already have the
It's okay.
friends thing.
Okay. In the meantime, oh, cool. Yeah, both of you.
Yeah.
Both of you can hear, like, barely speaking under his breath, he is, like, whispering to himself over and over again, like, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this, it's fine, you can do this, you can do this. He's just like, like...
Can Alan give him, like, a bardic thing to do? You know, like, something to push his motivation or...
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wild element
Give
of
me a
it, speak of the devil.
second. Sorry, just need to really quickly fix the overlay. Cool. That should... Okay, it's moved them all around, but I'll fix that later. It's fine.
I was going to say, Tammy and...
Yeah, I will fix it in the break. It's fine. For now, it's... Yeah. Okay,
It's broken.
so...
It's not your fault, don't worry.
Yeah. No, it's fine, it's fine. I'll just fix it later. You're saying, can he give him, like, bardic inspiration?
Yeah, or something. Like, I'm not sure what bardic inspiration exactly does, but to give him more confidence.
Yeah. I think Elland kind of sees him doing this, wanders up beside him, kind of like puts like a slightly too friendly arm around his shoulder and is just like, hey, you got this. Come on, it's not that difficult. You just gotta, you know, be man of the people. You got it. And then just like gives him like a little finger guns and then just like walks away.
Pew pew pew.
He now has a bardic inspiration dice. So yeah. Back over in the church. So whilst you're in the midst of kind of cleaning up, after about kind of 25 minutes or so of cleaning, after these guys have gone off to go and speak to Roku, you hear the sound of like some slight movement. What are you guys gonna do?
I'm going to jump to my feet and start looking around and see what I can spot.
I'm going to assume it's the bugbear thing.
That's a safe assumption. Make a perception check, both of you. Okay.
Oh.
So,
What is that?
Vixen, you are
Yeah.
just like absorbed in like cleaning up this floor. Like you are humming to yourself. Like this is a situation you are very like used to. It makes you feel weirdly at home, mopping blood off the floor of a church. You're like, yep, this is just like home. This is great. Having the time of my life. Vixen, sorry, it's confusing me because all the names are in the wrong place. Kada, you, as you are kind of like sitting there in the pew, you notice that the bugbear Torva is like, he seems to have woken up and is trying his best to slowly like crawl along the floor without anyone noticing that he's moving. but he is very
Like-
clearly like tiptoe creeping, like trying to move around.
I think Tammy might want to do something.
What would you like to do, Tammy?
I don't know. I'm cleaning. I need to be told this is happening.
I'm gonna tap her on the shoulder and be like, "Hey, look, he's awake."
Okay, the moment that you say he's awake, you hear from over there, you just hear like a very like, he stops moving, and then after a second goes, "No, I'm not." Oh, get up. And you just see...
Are we aware of his name?
No, I don't think so. Like, you
Okay.
just see after like a couple of seconds, like you hear him like swear to himself, and then you just see like hands come up over the top from like behind one of the pulpits, just like, "I surrender."
Get up. Come here. What's your name?
Okay. And he like stands up, and you can see like he stands up slightly too fast. He probably has concussion. He's just like,
I'm
And then
just
kind of-
gonna draw a dagger menacingly to
Okay.
just warn him off any silly behaviour.
Make an intimidation check. 15. Yeah, that's enough.
Cool.
He's had a hell of a night. He's already scared. He just kind of like sees you there and is just like, "Oh, okay." And then like he keeps moving towards you. And he's doing like the schoolboy about to be told off walk, where he's just kind of like, despite the fact that he's a good like 2 feet taller than both of you, he's still being like, and just kind of like comes to a rest, like standing in front of you, and he just says, "I'm Torva."
Well, Torva, I apologise for the mess. I'm currently cleaning it up. Could you do me a massive favour, though?
Depends on the favor.
I want you to bring the 8 that were under Gleric back to the church, and any other believers you can find. I have to tell them about something.
The others, I don't think they'll be here anymore. They would have left. I wanted to leave. I don't know if they will be here. Please don't hurt me.
I won't hurt you if you can find them and bring them to the church. Lolf has asked of them herself.
Okay. Can I go now to...
You
Just
will be
just
free to
quickly-
go if you can bring them here. If you fail to bring them here, we will find you and we will kill you.
Just quickly before he answers, I'm gonna pull Vixen aside and be like, "Is it worth me going with him?
Yeah, sure, do that if you want to.
If he'll be alright on your own, like,
Yeah, I'll be fine. I'm just cleaning.
Okay.
because then I just feel like I can keep an eye on him a bit better. That's all."
That's a good idea. Okay, my friend will go along with you. Make sure you can rally them up and bring them back here.
Okay.
You were aware that Gloric was a heretic, yes?
Yes.
There you go. Good lad. You're not a heretic, are you?
Yes.
Oh, you are.
No.
Who is it you believe in? Can I do an insight?
Yeah.
Oh.
You
Where's he
can't
gone?
tell
Here
if
we
he's being deliberately like
Oh, there you are.
trying to confuse you, or if he's literally just like really dumb and concussed and doesn't know what he's doing. Like, it's real difficult to get a read on him.
You look a bit shaken. Would you like a cup of tea before you head out?
There's a cat here.
Yes. I would like a cup of tea. I'm
Okay, then
very
make him a-
confused.
Make him a very strong tea.
Bitch, I ain't no tea maker.
Look, I'm doing the cleaning. I'm holding a mop full of blood. Do you want blood in the tea?
No, but I don't really want to make the tea either.
Just make him a tea.
Fuck's
I'll
sake.
make the tea. He just kind of like wanders off, like towards a side room, and you see he gets like 3 or 4 steps, and then he like turns around and points in the other direction and goes, "No, that way, okay." and then like starts heading off to a different side room to go and make some tea.
I'm
I'm
just
just
gonna
gonna-
follow him.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Okay. Yeah, you follow him as he keeps walking. He goes into one of the other side room that there was to the church. And in there you can see there's various different robes that are hanging up. There doesn't seem to be anything particularly of value in here, but there is a small fireplace, and he fills up with some water from a bucket and
Gee.
starts to kind of boil the water.
Okay.
And he's just kind of like sitting there. He like stoops down and kind of like sits with like his knees up, like just sat directly on the floor, starts like hugging his knees, and he looks like he's like slightly rocking backwards and forwards, just watching this teapot like start to boil.
I'm gonna move to stand kind of between him and the door, but like on like a triangle. So if the door was here and he's here, I'm here. So I'm between him and the door, but so that I can see.
Yep,
if that
makes sense. Make a perception check.
Why is it all the crap puns you're making me do?
Because it's the check you need to make. So yeah, as you're watching, you're trying to make sure that he's not up to anything suspicious, and he's just making tea. Like, you can see that, like, from this distance, you can see his injuries. He doesn't seem to be bleeding or anything, but he seems to be very badly like shaken. You can see when he like moves to try and like stir the pot a little bit, like his hand is still slightly shaking a bit. But apart from that, he finishes making tea and then kind of looks around and tries to figure out what to pour it into, and then ends up getting like 3 what look like very fancy goblets that were probably used for ceremonies, and is just like, okay, and then like pours it into these goblets. He then goes to pick up the first one, and he's just poured boiling water into a metal cup, and so he picks up and goes, ow. Oh.
I'm trying not to laugh.
He just kind of like looks at them for a bit, and then like gets a small like scrap of cloth and like holds it like between his hand and the cup, and then is able to pick it up and starts like moving them onto like a tray, and picks up the tray and brings it back into the main room.
I'll just follow him back into the main room.
Okay. He sets it down on the table and kind of sits down on one of the chairs, and like he seems to just be kind of like this guy is just like broken. Like there is nothing going on in this guy's head apart from just like
I will walk up to the table and take a tea
Okay.
and do a check of some sort to check it's not like poisoned.
Make a medicine check.
Medicine check. Oh dear. It's all wisdom today.
Mhm.
And then I will, failing that, just drink the tea and hope for the best, and
Okay.
just put my hand out for his weapons.
It doesn't taste particularly good. Like,
Good.
it seems to be like probably containing about 4 or 5 times too much tea to water ratio. It's just like, ugh. Like it
I
starts
don't
to
like
get
tea
bitter.
in the first place, so that sounds super bad.
Yeah, it doesn't taste good. But like he seems to like be drinking it and seems to be like pretty
just-
happy.
Put it back down on the tray
Mm-hmm.
and like gesture at him for his weapons.
He just kind of like reaches to his side and he gets out a little kind of like a sickle and just kind of like hands it over to you. Doesn't make eye contact, just there you go.
What's a sickle?
Like a curved bladed sword, like
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Can I add that to my inventory?
yeah, sure.
Not gonna give it back to him.
No.
I'll give you stats on it during the break.
Okay, thanks.
But yeah,
How do you spell sickle?
Sickle.
Okay, cool. That's what I thought. I just watched.
Yeah. No worries. He finishes kind of drinking this tea, puts it down, and then you see he kind of like slowly stands up, is like hunched over, looks in your direction, and just says like, "Okay, I think we should probably move. If we're going to catch them, they will be mostly gone by now. We should probably move." And he's just like looking. He's looking at you, Vixen, like for permission.
Get going then. If you think you need to catch them, you better make haste.
Okay.
Can I tell like what his motivations are? Is it money? Is it power? Is it?
Make an insight check.
Well, yeah. Right now, I know it's fear, but what did you say? Sorry.
Make an insight check.
Oh man, I need some more wisdom.
Not bad, not bad. As best you can tell, it seems like this guy was just kind of like in it for the high life, like it was fun.
Okay.
And now it's not fun anymore.
Well, no. Is he kind of? I'm sort of getting the impression that he's a bit stupid. So is he kind of someone that's just easy to lead on? And
Yeah,
he
you get.
He just kind of goes along with it, you know.
Yeah, you get
Okay,
that
cool.
sense.
Okay. I was getting that sense anyway, but I thought I'd check.
Yeah, with a 14 insight, yeah.
Okay.
He like starts heading towards the door, and like he gets to the point where like there's now a some remainder of the puddle that was from like the ice that formed when the ghost came in, and he starts kind of like trying not to step on the water as much as possible, just kind of like awkwardly shimmying down the middle, being like, okay.
Okay. So I'll follow him and be kind of like one step behind and like slightly like halfway behind his shoulder sort of thing, if you get what I mean.
Okay. And
I'm gonna put my hood up too.
Okay. So as you guys are just kind of leaving, this will be around about the time when Emanora and Ellen and Alessia are returning. Hagen has also come with you. He had been tending to the guy with burns, but he kind of like reapplies another layer of kind of this blue paste, and then stands up and just says, "I will return with you." And you guys have just got back to outside the Church of Lolth when you see Kada leaving the building, accompanied by a very grumpy and slightly like sad-looking bugbear.
Can we ask them where they're going?
We're going to try and find the other priests. Actually, Alicia, if you're not doing anything, it might be nice to have you with me because you're
Okay.
big.
I'm just everyone's puppy today.
It's not that I need the muscle.
No, that's fine.
Okay. So as you guys kind of like start to head off, start to peel off in the other direction, Ellen just kind of like looks at the bugbear and is just like, "Cheer up, big guy." And you can see the bugbear just kind of like looks over at him and is just kind of like, and then like continues walking. So for the rest of you, we'll say Vixen, you've kind of like finished clearing up the church as much as you need to around about now, and you're able to kind of step outside as well. There's now basically what seems like the entire town has gathered around the outside of the Salt Lord's Rest. You can see a few people kind of up the top seem to be in the middle of like trying to pick up the remainders of some of the wooden beams and try and shift them, trying to search through to see if there's anyone else in there. But apart from that, most of the others seem to just kind of be standing there in disbelief. at this point, Caster starts kind of like he does the thing where there's like a whole group of people milling around, and he just like walks with purpose, like directly through the middle, enough so that people notice him coming and are just like, okay, get out the way of this guy then. Just like, oh, okay. So he's able to just kind of like make a beeline straight through the middle.
Follow him.
And you walk up to the kind of stone steps, and he walks up to the top of kind of the first set of them. So he's about 10 feet above the rest of the crowd altogether, and kind of able to look down at the rest of them. And people start to kind of fall quiet and look in his general direction, as there's mostly silence. You can hear in the background the distant sound of the waterfall near the Salt Lord's Rest, kind of burbling away, and you can hear what sounds like the crackling of kind of gently burning charcoal, and the scraping of people moving wooden beams from point to point. And with that, he kind of clears his throat and starts speaking. But as he starts speaking, just kind of like a slight, like, almost like a whimper comes out. It's just kind of like, the Salt Lord is dead.
I put my hand on his shoulder. Tell him, calm down, you can do this.
The Salt Lord is dead. He was killed, murdered by one of our own. At least, we thought he was one of our own. Many of us knew him as Glowric, and you hear kind of like some whispers going through the crowd. People being like, Glowric? Can't be Glowric. What is this? And then like he just says, I know it is hard to believe that one so faithful pillar of our community would do this, but we have proof. These fine people here, and he gestures towards, he kind of like puts a hand out to either side, kind of gesturing towards Emanora and towards Elland. They put their very lives on the line for this community, not once, but twice last night. They rescued me after the attack, and then they bravely went and slew Glowric in return. And you can hear kind of like, there's like an audible like gasp, and you can hear a few people like very distant, like towards the back of the crowd. You can hear a couple of people start to cry. You can hear what sounds like a baby start crying in response to the noise, and someone trying to shush them and them not quite managing it. And he just says, none of that matters now. All that matters is the survival of this town. We have lost a Salt Lord. There is no clear heir. What matters now is that there is stability. Someone to lead us through. And I believe that Salt Lord Saito would have wished it to be me. And you can hear kind of a few people like begin to kind of mumble under this. Like you can hear the sound of the crowd start rising, people kind of talking back and forth. And then you can hear from the back, one of the someone starts to kind of shout, kind of like, "Let me through! No, come on, let me through! Let me through!" And you can see after a little while, a dwarf, one that you recognise from one of your nights in the tavern, kind of steps forward to the front. He has a long black beard that's been very neatly braided, You can see he has very short cropped, almost kind of like side cut black hair. He appears to have various different bits of like ash that are kind of on his clothing and on his hands and his face. And you can kind of pick up from that he's probably been salting through the Salt Lord's Rest with the rest of the crew. And he says, "Now we've heard a lot right now about things that happened. You said there's proof. I don't see any proof. I've been sorting through that palace myself, and all I see is burnt wreckage. What proof have you got? How do I know you didn't do this so that you can take the crown?" And you can kind of like see people in the crowd start to kind of like nod. People start to kind of start to kind of flock to his side. And you see Caster, having been putting on this very like brave face, starts to kind of break a little bit, and he just looks at you, Emanora, with this look of panic, just like.
I look at him and I say, "We have many witnesses. We saved not just one guard of the Salt Lord's place after Glaric's people attacked them, and we're already searching for the 8 people who went there with him."
He like looks at you like he's trying to like form a sentence, but he's just kind of like his mouth is moving, but no sound is coming out, and he just kind of like after a little while he just says like, please just tell the people. I can't do this. I can't do this.
You're strong enough. I believe in you. If anyone wants to fight him and doesn't believe him, has to take it up with me.
With that, like a fair few people who had been in the middle of talking, people that you'd recognise from the court, just immediately shut up. Like, after a little while, Caster kind of like centers himself again, and this time he like steps down from the kind of like the raised platform, walks down the stairway, and walks up to this dwarf, and he just says, "I know you, Declan. I know you're a good man, and I know that you have done much in service of us here today, which is why I will forgive you for this horrible, horrible accusation. I understand. We're all very emotional. We're all unsure of what's happening. I am more than happy to share the proof with anyone who wishes to know. We will hold a town meeting tonight to discuss it, and to discuss the line of succession. And all of us here, every adult of the town, will get a vote. Are we in agreement?" And you can see people, after a little while, of kind of like mumbling, you hear a voice from the back of the crowd go, "Aye, in agreement." And you see Hagen stand forward, kind of above the rest of them, puts his hand up.
I'm so glad he's still alive.
He looks around, and then you see Roku also step forward and say, "Aye. Seconded." And then after a little while, you see Thorvald step forwards, along with a retinue of his halflings and gnomes and goblins, and he says, "Aye, I think that's correct." And then one by one, you start to hear more people from the chorus say, "Aye, aye, aye," until eventually, eventually, it seems like there's a majority within the crowd, and Caster nods to himself and says, "Very good. In the meantime, life must go on. Those of you who want to help with sorting through the palace, please come with me.
Oi!
And the rest, please return to your homes, return to your jobs. This is a tragedy, but life must continue. I promise there will be answers tonight. And with that, the crowd starts to disperse, starts to go on, and head back to their jobs, head back to their houses. He turns around, walks back up to where you are, Eminora, and kind of gives you like a half smile, and then says, "You're a politician, yes?"
I am indeed.
I have a question.
Sure.
Does this ever get easier?
No, usually not. But you will see how, under your help and ideas, a town will flourish. And you will see happy people thanks to your doings. And it's absolutely worth it.
Thank you for your honesty. I feel that there's probably going to be many people who will come to me with empty words in the next few days. And thank you for not being one of them. In the meantime, you have done enough for this town. I can tell you that, but if there's any more help you can give, I would greatly appreciate it.
Sure, I can help you with whatever you want me to.
Wonderful. Well, I suppose I'd better start sorting through some things. See what records we have, see what survived. He walks up to the top and sees that there's a small group of people who are in the midst of sorting through some of the remains of the building. And he just kind of like calls them to him. And he turns to you and he just says, "Do you have any paper, perhaps a pen that I could use?"
Sure.
Thank you. He kind of like takes some paper from you and he says, "Right." And then he starts kind of drawing a map and says, "Well, here's the layout of the building in general. I think we should be checking this area first to make sure that these records are secured." And we kind of like zoom out and kind of get some of the audio fading out as he's in the middle of kind of directing people to start searching through things. Meanwhile, Vixen, as you are kind of standing outside the church and seeing the people milling around and starting to go back to their everyday lives, you see a dwarven woman who walks up to see you, having spotted you, and just says, "Is it true?
Do I recognise her?
It is the dwarf Moira that you helped out when you first arrived in town."
I knew it!
She's kind of looking up at you. There's clearly red in her eyes. Might be from smoke, might be from tears. You can't quite tell.
It's true, Moira.
I mean, I knew he was... I knew he was a liar. But I didn't think he was... So what do we do now?
Well, I'm trying to help fix up the church and get some new people in charge that Lolf has told me that are very devout to her. And I think they would probably be the best ones to take charge here. Do you think you could get the word around that there'll be a sermon on later?
I think I could do that. It's the least I can do.
Thank you, Moira.
It's alright.
How's your kin?
Yeah, seems to be alright. Mostly just shaken, you know. Don't really know what to do. I'll leave you to it. I'm not sure if I actually remembered to say because I was terrified at the time, but thank you for everything.
8 blessings on you, Moira.
8 blessings. And she heads back off into the crowd, and you can see a much smaller dwarf kind of runs up and grabs her hand, and she kind of like picks them up and like puts them on her shoulder and starts walking off. So pretty quickly, let's head over and see how things are going with Torva, Vixen, and Alessia. So, as he's kind of wandering around the town, can Kado and Alessia both make an insight check for me, please?
More wisdom.
Okay. You both get the sense. It takes a little while longer for you, Alessia, but Kada, you get the sense pretty quickly that he's just kind of wandering around and hopelessly looking. There doesn't seem to be any like method to what he's doing beyond just looking up down the road and being like, maybe they're over there. I don't know. He seems to be pretty clueless.
Okay. Maybe I should have spoken to Vixen before I left. What do I know about the other 8?
Make a history check for me, please.
Oh dear.
Okay.
Not a lot.
Beyond the fact that you remember that there were 7 others in there, and that like it looked like there was one other bugbear, 2 drow, and beyond that you can't really remember. Like, they look like they might be some kind of goblinoid creature, but you don't really know.
Okay. What do I know about yokai and different parts of the town? Or...
Make another history check. Not much.
Also not a lot. Yeah.
You guys haven't spent that much time here, and pretty much most of your time is spent in rotation between going to the pub and going to solve some crisis. So, like,
Okay.
as you're walking down a lot of these roads, you're like, I'm not sure if I recognize this place or not, or if I just like was drunk the last time I was here.
So, where are we? Where has he led us to?
So, I mean, taking you out of the Church of Lolth, you're currently you're somewhere in the Three Bridges district. He's just kind of wandering blindly around.
Am I able to see over to like North Pools and Goldvale?
Make a perception check for me, please.
And Songbird Fields, I guess.
Okay. You're able to see them. There's a small amount of mist that gets kind of kicked up, just kind of from the waterfall that's nearby Songbird Fields. But you're able to see over to them, but not too far into them. You can see like the wooden watchtower that's kind of here on the map, and you're able to see over to kind of the then you're able to see over to kind of about this far into the North Pools.
Hmm. What about to the south?
To the south,
Gold Vale.
yeah, you're able to see through, and it's a lot easier down to the south because you don't have the mist from the
Okay.
from the waterfall. You're able to see pretty much down into most of Gold Vale.
What can I see? Like, what do the buildings look like? What's the sort of lay of the land? Essentially, I'm going to try and work out if I can spot the richer part of the thing.
The richer part of town. I'll say like it's pretty easy to tell just from like vaguely looking around that the richest parts are in the Cascade near the Church of Lolth and the Salt Lord's Rest. And there's a fairly decent around 3 bridges. It's all right. It starts to look a little bit more run down towards the mud docks. And then pretty much everything else is just kind of squat wooden huts or thatched roofs, like not particularly expensive.
So, one of my things is that I've got a criminal contact, and I know you said that was Hawk.
Yes.
But we're no longer in Sakane. Is it still him, or?
I'd say you guys have been in Yokai for long enough that Hawk has probably found his way into some kind of criminal underground here. So, if you want to ask him something, if you want to get kind of some information from him in that sense, then yeah, I think it would work. Depending on what you want to ask him, I guess. Oh no. We are having some connection issues here, and we need to sort out some stuff anyway. So we're going to really quickly go to break, guys, and we will be back as soon as we got it all sorted. So sit tight, guys. We'll be back in a second, and don't go anywhere, and we'll continue this episode of Tales of Escuria. Hello everybody, thank you for sticking with us just then. Technical difficulties, but we are back, minus 1 barbarian for now. Kada,
yes.
You are pretty sure that this bugbear is just kind of leading you round in random directions, not really showing you anything that's particularly useful.
Okay. I am going to tap him on the shoulder and say, "This is clearly not working. Let's go to the Salt and Salt."
He just kind of like turns around and then like nods, and he's just like, "Okay, a drink would be good."
Yeah, we'll see about that when we get there. But
okay. So you guys head further down, away from kind of the Three Bridges district. Just as you're about to kind of start crossing one of the bridges, Thorvald runs up behind you. He seems to be carrying like a few different blueprints under one of his arms, and he's got like a pair of goggles that are kind of haphazardly balanced on his head, like bouncing around as he's running. He's just like, Kada.
I'm really sorry. Can you remind me who Thorvald?
He's the one with our robot.
Yes, he's trying to help fix your robot.
Oh, okay.
He owns the little fixer-upper thing in town.
Sorry, that happened like just before I came back, so.
It's all right. He kind of runs up to you, catches up, and just as he gets to you, he does the thing where he kind of like bends over, like hands on, and he's like, "There's something I need to tell you."
I sort of turn round and blink at him and be like, "What's up?"
It's alive.
Oh my god.
I did it.
That's the
best. There's still some work that needs to be done. Still need to put all of the parts back together, of course, but it's alive. And he kind of like looks up and sees the bugbear and is just like, "Oh, sorry, did I get you at a bad time?"
Kind of. Is it alright if I come and find you a bit later?
Yes, of course. Just thought I'd tell you the good news while, well, good news seems like a good thing today. Anyway, carry on. And he, like, starts, like, he goes to, like, he's going to try and shake your hand, then decides to stop, and, like, just holds his hand up. Looks like he's about to start waving, then decides not to, and eventually he just goes, like... and then, like, turns around and starts, like, running back in the other direction. Just like... and, like, the bugbear just, like, turns around, looks at you, and is just like... I hate this town.
Well, as long as you can help me find these people, you're welcome to come with us when we leave.
Okay. Just so I can be sure, was that like a invitation friendly, oh, come with us, or was that and he kind of like puts his like hand across it, just like, come with us kind of invitation.
Well, no, it's, you know, meant to be more of a friendly thing. But don't get me wrong, if you double cross me, I will stab you through the...
Okay, good to know. Okay. And he just kind of like starts walking across the bridge. And like you can it's almost like you can see the cogs turning in his mind trying to figure out what's happening right now, just like oh, okay. When you finish crossing the bridge, you walk down through some of the fields towards the Sultan's Sake. And when you get inside, you can see that part of the inside of this seems to have been kind of taken up. On the inside, you can see Caster has kind of put a long series of tables together, and you can see that there are a few people who have been kind of posted up around the edge of these tables, and they're consulting various different maps of the town and various different kind of what look to be some slightly burnt architectural blueprints of the Salt Lord's Rest. And he's in the middle of kind of taking letters, signing them, handing them off. He seems to be like very much like knee deep in the minutiae of trying to get this town back up and running again. And Koshka, the barman, is kind of hurriedly like running drinks back and forth to people. He seems to be pretty busy, and at a corner, on a table in the corner, snoring incredibly loudly, like one leg up in the air, like on the back of the seat, and the other like down on the floor. You can see Hawk. There's still like a half full like cup of some kind of liquid, like balanced on his chest as he's kind of like heavily breathing and snoring in and out.
So I will go up to the bar and buy 3 beers.
Okay.
However much that will cost me.
Okay. I'd say that's probably about 6 copper.
How many copper is there in a silver?
10.
Okay, my brain.
I know.
1 second.
The
I
maths.
can't do maths, yeah, man. Okay, and then I'll walk over to where he's sitting, tell Bugbear, I can't remember his name, to sit down and hand him a pint. Put mine on the table, pick up the one that Hawk's got on his stomach, pour it over his head, and then as he like wakes up and splutters and is like, "What the fuck?" I'll put the new pint in his hand.
Okay. As you pour it like on his head, there's like a couple seconds when he just kind of like opens his mouth and some starts going into his mouth. And then he starts like coughing and spluttering up, and as he does so, like he wakes up and you feel like some parts of the room and some of the furniture start shaking, and you hear him like very loudly, like more loudly than you should be able to hear him right now, just like, "I kill you!" Oh. Hello. Good morning, afternoon, evening, good night.
We need your help.
Uh,
Sit down and drink my beer.
Why do I have the feeling this is going to end in some kind of pain for me? Okay, what do you need?
I need to know what you know from people, or who you can put me in touch with who know anything about the other the other 7 who were in the church with Glaric.
It was 8.
I thought he was 8.
There was him, 8 others, and you have one of them with you.
Oh right, yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
yeah, the other 7.
He kind of like when you say that, you see him like kind of open his eyes properly. He's been kind of like talking to you with his eyes closed throughout most of this, trying to go back to sleep. And finally, he's just like, "Oh, okay, interesting. Give me 3 minutes."
All right, but the next beer's on you.
Both of you to assume that I have any money. And he just kind of gets up and starts, he wanders over to this table of people, and you can see there's a halfling who's in the midst of kind of pointing at a couple things on the map. Hawk just kind of like walks up behind him and like taps him on the back. The guy looks up at him and then like gives him a nod. Hawk walks out through like the front door and goes outside, and about maybe a minute or so later, the halfling like stands up from the table and walks outside as well. The meeting continues on, and as you're kind of watching, make a perception check.
Oh bloody hell!
The room is very loud. It's difficult to pick out any particular kind of particular things, but you hear one word get repeated kind of like several times. You hear the word Lordsmoot get repeated like several times. Lordsmoot.
Lordsmoot.
Yes.
Okay, so I know what that means.
Make a history check.
No.
No, you've never heard it before. But whatever it is, it seems to be important, and people seem to be stressed about it.
Okay.
So as you're kind of like listening in, you're kind of going over in your head what you think this might possibly be. And then after that, Hawk walks back into the room, and kind of you can see him kind of like give the halfling like a little pat on the back, and the halfling kind of nods to him. He goes and sits down at the table next to you and says, "Okay, so here's what I know. Of the 7, I'm assuming this is the 8th here." He kind of like extends a hand towards Torva and is just like, "Greetings, friend. I am Hawk. If you cross me, I will kill you." And then like Torva just kind of like glumly shakes his hand and is just like, "Hi, I'm Torva. Please don't kill me."
Oh, okay, I was starting to feel sorry for Torva now.
So he says, "Okay. So this is one of the bugbears. There is one more. His name is Kellen. Sorry, give me a second.
Mhm.
I will post the names and spellings of these in the chat just to make it easier.
Yeah.
He also has 2 pretty beefy bodyguards. Some hobgoblins called Vort and Halleck.
So are they the bodyguards of Kellen?
No, they're the bodyguards of were the bodyguards of Glowric. Didn't do a very good job of it.
I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah. He has 2 of the deep dwarves, the small stony-looking guys. You got Diane, and you got Moonin, and last of all, he's got his
Did you say they were
favorites.
dwarves? Sorry.
they are deep dwarves. So they're dwarves, but they have like grey, stony skin and like white hair.
Okay.
And last he's got his favorite. He's got the drow Serena and her brother Thaniel. And so that's all of them. They don't seem to be too smart a bunch, really. They just kind of do what he says. Occasionally kill a couple people, maybe drag some people in to be ritually executed. You know the deal. You've kind of seen what happens.
Have you heard anything about their beliefs and whether they're true or not?
They believed in him, but apart from that, I don't think they really believed in anything at all. They seem to be mostly just loyal to him.
To Glaric.
Yeah. Now he's gone, well, be interesting to see who they decide to become loyal to. Was there anything more specific?
Yeah, do you know what they are?
Well, I don't want to be too rude, you know, to fellow members of the criminal underground, but and you see him kind of like, he starts tapping his foot quite loudly. And just kind of like looks down. Like... So
okay,
I don't know.
I'm gonna look at his foot quickly, like subtly, like.
Okay. As you look down, you can see now it's something you hadn't really properly paid that much attention to when you came in here. It seems like quite unusual for most of the buildings around here. The Sultan Sake has a basement. And you can see just like between the floorboards like little gaps. And he's just kind of like tapping his foot, looking down, and just says, "Of course, I have no idea where they are. Probably left town by now, or on a ship or similar, you know. Not really going to not going to rat out my friends, you know."
What is the thieves thing where you like grab your lapel or?
Oh, thieves can't.
Yeah, just to show him that I've understood what he means.
He stops kind of tapping his foot with that and says, "Well, I think I'm going to go and maybe get another drink. If you would like to accompany me to the bar." And he kind of points to one of the doors that leads kind of out the back of the bar area.
Okay. On our way over, can I do a investigation check to see what entrances to the basement I can see, and just see what I can see?
Sure, make an investigation check. Okay. As best you can see, there seem to be two doors kind of each end behind the bar, which seem to lead into a back room. And from your memory, you think there might be a trapdoor outside that looks like it might lead down further, but you're not entirely sure.
Okay. Where is Hawk leading me to? Are we going to the bar or are we going through a door?
He's leading you towards the bar, but he's like very heavily indicating towards one of the doors, and he kind of like, he points you towards one and he looks like he's heading towards the other.
Okay, can I like thieves cant again, lapel or cap or fucking whatever, to just get him to pause and take bar out of my pocket and just like subtly kind of drop him on the floor and have him like run under one of the doors?
Sure. He just kind of like watches this happen. He just kind of like, I'm assuming you're looking through Bart's eyes then.
I was just going to say, we could get to the bar, and I'll give him a coin to kind of order the beers, and I'll kind of like subtly like lean on the bar and like pull my hood down a bit, and then I'll.
Okay. Make a stealth check. Or a performance check, either one. I'm assuming you probably want to do stealth.
Yeah, I'll go with stealth.
Okay. So, you're able to kind of like make it look like a natural movement. You're able to like lean in such a way that you feel pretty stable, so when you kind of like zone out of your body, it doesn't look weird. Seeing you do this, like Hawk walks over and like stands next to you and makes a show of like talking to you as though there is still a conversation happening. It's just like, so I don't think I ever finished telling you about that time when I was caught in the wine barrel. So,
damn it!
He's in the middle of telling you this, and your consciousness just kind of like fades, recedes, and goes into Bart.
Yeah.
So when you go into the back room, you can see that Koshka is in this back room, and as he's kind of standing there, you can see he seems make a perception check through Bart for me, please.
1 sec. Sorry, I haven't got his sheet open.
It's alright.
Perception is wisdom.
Yes. Okay. You're still kind of getting used to being inside your rat senses. You're not quite as keen-eyed as you would normally be. Something seems off, but you're not entirely sure what is off. But you've seen Koshka before in his normal kind of fairly jolly self. He seems a bit... There's something wrong.
But I can't tell whether he's scared or...
No, you can't tell.
Okay. Can I, via the shadows, kind of move around the room a bit and see what else I can see? Obviously, as far as the range will let me.
Yeah, sure. So, kind of like looking around the room a little bit more, you can see that back here there's what looks like a large kind of a large copper tank, which you can assume is kind of the distilling tank for his sake. You can see a large number of glass bottles, which seem to be kind of sat next to a sink in the process of being cleaned out. And you can see that there is a stairway which seems to lead down.
Can I see any other staircases or other than the two doors that we know go to the bar? Any other doors?
Nope.
Okay. Does that mean I can't see them, or there aren't any there?
There aren't any there.
Okay.
You have enough time to kind of circle around the room, and yeah, that's the only one.
Cool. Okay. I will come back out to myself. But can I like come back out to myself subtly and not react, so it still looks like I'm in a trance to hear the end of this story, please?
Make a deception check. Oof. Yeah. You're able to like you come back into your senses, and there's like the only show is like a tiny twitch of like your hand. Just kind of, you keep your eyes closed, and so what you hear at the end of the story is like, okay, so like I'm trying to get the parrot off of my horn, but every time I touch it, it just keeps going like, Bally want a cracker, Bally want a cracker, and I'm just like, no, shh. And it's at that point that the top of the barrel comes off. I can see this guy like leaning over me. He's got like this monocle, all that kind of like posh stuff, you know how they like that kind of stuff. And he's just looking down at me, and he like grabs me by the underarms, pulls me out, chucks me down onto the floor, and he looks at me and just says, I should kill you where you stand. But first, tell me where you found the spices in your pocket, because that is some of the best wine I have ever tasted in my life. And that is how I invented Hawk's spice wine.
At that point, I'll sort of stand up and adjust my hood and be like, Cool story, bro.
Tell me, how long were you actually listening for, or...
Long enough.
Okay, okay.
I'll just kind of give him like a mischievous grin, and then we can communicate if thieves can't, right?
Yep.
How what is it, like hand signals and stuff, or is it a language, or like I know the lapel thing, but it like if I stand here and have a conversation with him in thieves can, are people going to know that we're having a secret conversation?
Unless they're thieves as well, no.
Okay, so via the thieves cant, which I don't speak, so I'm just going to say it in English.
Yeah.
I'll say to him, so it doesn't look like there are any other entrances or exits to that back room, and there's one staircase that's leading down. Something is up with, what's his name? The bartender?
Koshka.
Koshka, but I can't tell if he's scared or if he's, excited or whatever.
Okay. He doesn't seem like the criminal type. I would I'd wager more on the scared side of anything. Interesting. So,
Yeah.
what's our play? Want to go and get back up, or...
Yeah, I don't think the two of us plus are going to get very far against 7 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Can you stay put and watch the doors to make sure that no one leaves?
Of course I can.
And I'll run and get the others.
Maybe it would be best if we both stayed. I can get the others for you.
Okay, thanks.
Um,
You do that and I'll get more beers in, or sarkes in.
that is a deal. Knew there was a reason I spent time with you.
I thought you'd like that.
He starts kind of rummaging through his bag, pulls out a small piece of copper wire, and then Eminora and Vixen, both of you around about the same time, hear the familiar sound of Hawk in your head going, "This is Hawk. Do not visibly react. I am sending a message with the power of the arcane directly into your mind." Also, I think that there might be some people in the Sultan's sake might be holding Koshka hostage again. We should probably get some backup so we can get them out. Yeah. Hawk out.
Eminora just raises her hand to her forehead, face palms herself.
So while we're waiting for them, we'll move back to the table and sit with. What's his name? Why am I so bad with names?
It's all right. You've got like 8 names in your head right now. It's fine. Torva.
Torva.
Yeah.
We're going to go and sit back down with Torva.
Mm-hmm.
Before leaving the church, can I contact Lolth?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool beans. Can I do that right now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It's instantaneous. So, you take a moment to sit, reflect, and you find yourself, your consciousness, transported in an instant. And you find yourself again in front of the Spider Queen. Mostly in darkness this time. To begin with, all you can see is her eyes. And as she's gazing down at you, then after a little while you begin to see teeth going into a wide smile and saying, "Well, I told you to spread some chaos, and I'd certainly say this qualifies. Tell me, what is it you want?"
I would like for you to tell me who the 8 are that you mentioned being devout. I feel that they would be better in charge of the church.
I was wondering how long it was going to take you to catch on. This is my first lesson to you. I give you information, it's true. I tell you what you need to know. But, always pay attention. I like a bit of chaos myself. So, who knows, sometimes I might give you some slightly misleading information, just to make it a bit more fun to watch.
Otherwise, it would be boring.
Precisely. I'm so glad you agree. Now, of those who are devout, you have already met a few. Caster, for one, though it seems you might have some other machinations for him in mind. Never mind. Really, I don't much care. As long as the, feelings keep coming in and people still know their place. There is one that I feel might make a interesting candidate. Your friend, you've already spoken to him a couple of times. Thorvald.
Ah. Okay, this is interesting.
I know he has some true belief in his heart. He's an industrious man. Smart. He already knows how to lead people. You've seen how he manages to whip those god-awful halflings into shape. I think he might be able to put a strong hand on the wheel, steer the ship in the right direction. Though, there is one small issue with this, of course. The girl. A distraction. Not necessary. Could throw the whole thing off.
You mean Roku?
Yes, that's the one. Now listen, I know you have a soft spot for her, but she's not one of ours.
A soft spot, yes, but under your guide, I will do as you will.
Very good. Remove her from the picture. Then I feel that he will be a perfect candidate. You do know how people tend to flock to the church in times of grief.
Okay.
That will be all. You may go.
Well, hold on, because there were 8. So, Halleck I know, Serena I know, Serena.
Mhm.
The
Caster
8th is Torvald.
out, and Thorvald. So, who are the others?
After a moment, she kind of clambers closer to you, slowly at first, and then all of a sudden, like, she's right on top of you. Like, you can see the full size of Lolth, taking up the entirety of your peripheral vision. You can see the spidery legs, you can see the abdomen, you can see her rising out of this thing, and you can see in her eyes just pure black reflecting back against you. And she just says, I said you can go. Or do you want to become the next snack?
I will take my leave.
Yes, you will. And then you are back in your own body again.
Ah. Right,
Okay.
I head to the pub.
Yep, I probably would too after that. So, you guys arrive at the Sultan Sake. The meeting is still in full swing. There is still a lot of lively discussion. The room is kind of is live with conversation. It's almost as loud as it was when you were doing the folk gig, though with a very, very different atmosphere. So you guys arrive. What do you do?
Can I see Hawk?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're sat at the table.
He's
I look over to the half elf. What was his name?
Costa.
Isn't he there?
Yeah,
Is he
he's there.
Costa. Yeah, I just look if everything looks fine and then walk directly to Hawk.
Mhm.
Sorry, 1 second. Is Caster the guy who said he wants to become the next Salt Lord?
Yeah.
Once is a little bit.
Well,
Oh, well, yeah.
He doesn't
is
want
willing
but
to.
yes, he would do it.
Yeah. He kind of catches your eye for a second, and he continues talking, like he's in the middle of kind of dictating a message to someone, and he just kind of like nods in your general direction, like the tiniest of a smile, and then goes back to talking.
Yeah. If everything seems fine, I just walk straightly to Hawk.
Hawk is kind of like in the middle of like draining this this cup of beer, and like he finishes it, like puts it down on the table, and he looks over at Torva, who's like just kind of holding this mug and not really doing anything, and he's just like, "You're going to finish that, because I could just going to okay, there we go." And he starts drinking like Torva's, and Torva's just kind of like looking sad. So yeah, he finishes Torva's as well, puts it down on the table, and he's just like, "Ah, my friends. So, what now?"
I guess you have to tell me something, or us, because we were called here by.
So I'll
voice
like
in my-
gesture for them to join us at the table and like pass around my beer to make it look like more of a social occasion.
Mhm.
And then try and can I like roll a stealth check to see if we can have a private conversation?
Yeah. Oh yeah, easily.
So essentially I'll just tell them what I told Hawk. So there are 2 doors behind the bar which lead to the back room. In there, there's a staircase that leads down. Koshka's out there, but he, something's wrong. I was saying to Hawk, I can't tell if he's scared or whatever. He doesn't really seem like the criminal type, so we're assuming he's been captured again. It seems like the other 7 who were in the church are in the basement.
I guess Vixen want to talk to them. I don't really have an interest in them, except we want to capture them after they talk to them. So I would prefer to alarm the guards of the city. We take them out and they capture them as witnesses. If you don't have any other plans with them.
I would just like to free Koshka, to be honest. I'm annoyed that they've captured him again just after we've bloody freed him.
Oh yeah, I think so too. Poor Koshka. We will have to make it up to him.
Yeah.
So
Vixen?
Hawk, as you've all been saying this, he's just like, "Oh, well, that'll be a first. I'm usually the one who's being called on by the guard, not the other way around."
Helic and Serena must stay alive. The rest can die.
I don't want to kill them. I want to capture them all. We need them as witnesses. So.
Well, Helic and Serena are mine. You give them to me.
Okay, well, that's fine. That's all good and fine, but we need a plan.
But I think it would be better to capture them all. What do you want to do with them?
Helic and Serena are going to help me take over the church. They're very important.
But they should face court. They committed a crime.
And what crime did they commit?
They helped Cleric to kill the Salt Lord.
What proof do you have that they were part of it?
They were drinking wine with him while Hawk and Koshka were captured.
Yeah, drinking wine with him doesn't mean they were there when it happened.
I mean,
You have to have evidence. You're a politician. You should know.
Hawk kind
get
of
the
like-
evidence.
Hawk leans in and he's just like, I mean, I was in the room when they were doing this, and I mean in the church, and even I have to say, the best you can really do is guilt by association. They didn't really do anything illegal that I saw, at least, so not sure how well
Well-
that would stand up.
by that rule, none of them deserve to die. Like,
No.
unless you can sit here and tell us that someone specific captured you or injured you.
I didn't see.
I
To be
don't
honest, I
say
was pretty
anyone
much
should die.
unconscious until I woke up in that chair, so...
And
I
Cleric
just
was the only
say-
one that killed anybody.
I just say we should capture them, question them in front of a court. If they don't have anything to hide and there's no proof that they did something wrong, they will be free afterward. That's
I don't really care enough, to be honest. You can debate it.
Yeah,
between
Yeah.
you.
I will
I
take
think
Helen
we
and
will.
Serena to see Caster myself. You trust Caster, right?
Yeah, sure. He will. I think he's right here. I will ask him for help to bring the guards. I don't think we have to fight them. I think going in there with a couple of guards, capture them, is the best way not to kill them.
But what if they hurt? God damn it, Barman, dude.
Koshka. I wrote them all down. I know now. Koshka.
What if they
Yeah,
hurt?
some of. I think Kada can sneak in there, and I can make her invisible. She can just stay close to him. But I think they don't really think that someone will open the door and walk in with like a couple of guards to capture them. I think they will be quite surprised.
All right, we'll give it a go.
Hawk kind of says, if you would permit me, I have perhaps an idea.
Sure.
And he says, I have not really spoken much about my personal relationship with the arcane, and you all know that I have some spells, some tricks up my sleeve, but this is a special gift that I was waiting for the right time to use. And you see he kind of like reaches up, and it looks like he's taking off a mask. But when he does so, it's almost like you see like the tiefling exterior kind of like slip away, and he looks exactly like Koshka.
Oh,
That's cool.
that is really interesting. I have to know how you do this. But I don't think that's the right time for it. Maybe after we solve this issue with a good beer. Yeah, I think I will ask Costa for help, and you can try to sneak in and keep Koshka secure.
Okay.
So yeah, I walk up to Costa, excuse him.
Koshka's out the
from
back.
myself.
He's not in the bar.
Costa, that's the other one.
Oh, right.
Oh,
Sorry.
Caster,
Sorry.
yeah.
Yeah.
Costa.
And yeah, I tell him that we have an issue with some outlaws in the basement, and we would like to capture them with his help. The help of the guards.
He kind of like puts up a hand to kind of tell the others to kind of keep going. Oh, hello.
Hello.
We lose.
Hello.
Oh, we have a bard. The bard has rejoined.
Oh,
Again,
Hello.
our overlays have been completely broken, but oh well. I will just leave it. It's fine.
Don't worry,
Yeah.
I'll leave and
Sorry.
I will leave and I hear the whole session tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay.
No worries.
Everything.
Well, I hope you enjoy. All right.
Bye bye.
Okay.
Anywho.
Okay, that's fine. That's fixed it. So yeah. For a brief moment, you look around, and it's almost as if Elland wakes up for the first time today, and then he goes back to sleep again. Like, whatever. Anyway. So Caster kind of like gestures for them to keep going, walks aside of you, and he just says, "Are these the outlaws?"
Yes, it's them.
Okay.
What was that?
Sounded like a Hoover.
Yeah, Simon is using the mixer.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
This
asked
time
him
of
to
night.
stop it. um, so yeah, it's our witnesses. We need them. I'm pretty sure alive. So we would prefer to capture them all. They're downstairs, but they have a hostage. So
I see.
2 of us are already on it. 3 of us are on it to secure him. And if the guards could arrive as fast as possible.
Yes, I will.
Oh, Jesus.
I will send word. He walks up to one of the people, kind of like scribbles a quick note, and hands it to what looks to be like a maybe 16, 17-year-old human, who then kind of like takes the note, nods, and then like heads out the door.
Okay, can we just clarify what the plan is here? Because I can sneak in there, but if they're going to see me, then they're going to see me.
I can turn you invisible.
You also have your inspiration die.
Yep.
And you're also wearing a
how
thing
long
that
does-
gives you advantage on stealth checks.
Yep. How long does the invisibility?
An hour.
Okay. To be honest, I would rather not take the chance and use that over my attempted rolls on Roll20.
I think you still have to roll, but it's like
Yeah.
Oh, do you?
super hard to. Yeah, but it's super
Okay.
hard. Like they would have to roll insanely to get
Yeah.
you with your cloak of Elvenkind and invisibility and everything together.
Yeah.
But I can turn you invisible for sure.
Presumably, I still have to roll a stealth check, and I'll have advantage if I'm invisible,
Yes.
which is basically the same as if I had my cloak.
It would be they would still make perception checks to see if they can spot you, but it would be much harder for them to do so.
Okay. Yeah, I guess if you're alright to, Laura, we'll use the invisibility.
Yeah, sure. I turn her
So-
invisible.
What's the plan? Hawk's going to come through with me and as Koshka, and what's the plan?
I think the plan is basically that you go in, you try to sneak Koshka out there somehow, or at least get him like in a corner, or just stand next to him. If the guards rush in and they try to grab him, you can just stab them. Basically, that
Yeah.
would already help.
I
to
think
secure
that's
it.
going to be, if I'm invisible, that's going to be easier to do, just to stand next to him and guard him. Like, he's going to freak out, and there's going to be some sort of reaction if I try and move him, which means that it will alert those downstairs.
Yeah, if you just stand next to him and just look that he is safe as soon as the guards rush in, I think that
Mhm.
could work.
What are we doing with Hawk if he's disguised as Koshka?
Yeah. As you're doing this, he's literally just sat there at the table, like looking exactly like Koshka, but just like drinking some ale.
Sorry,
Yes.
my cat's climbing over all my shit once.
I ask him, do you have any better plan to keep him safe? Do you want to get him out?
I was thinking that maybe I could go in and pretend to be him so they don't think there's anything wrong. You know, you get him out, I go back in, they don't notice.
So he can freely walk around?
In which case, would it be better for me to sneak in and for you to turn the real Koshka invisible?
If I can, it's a touch range, so I would have to touch
Oh,
him.
I see. Okay.
But, you take my raven.
Yes.
My raven can deliver touch ranged spells.
Okay. Is that
And I
all
can
for
turn
me?
the
Is
raven.
that thing?
Yep, all companions.
Is there a window to the cellar?
No, it's a cellar.
No. Sometimes you get like basement windows that are like
No.
just underfloor.
Does it take an hour to re-summon my familiar in a different shape?
Yes, it does.
Okay, that's too long. Then I will turn the Raven invisible and Koshka and Vixen. I'm pretty sure you can turn Kada invisible.
Yeah, probably can.
I can turn all of the 3 of them invisible, but then all my level 2 spells are gone and burned. And we may need one of them. Not sure. Yeah, so that would be the plan. I turn 2 invisible.
Oh, stop it.
Vixen turns 1 invisible, and I switch Koshka, rear Koshka against not rear Koshka. But actually, that puts Hawk in a dangerous situation.
I mean, I'm less worried about Hawk than Koshka, to be honest.
That's right.
Why would Hawk be in a dangerous situation?
Because if he's the hostage, they think he's Koshka, and Koshka is the hostage.
Well, if we can do it sneakily enough, we might get some information from Koshka before we get in there.
Yeah, true.
Okay.
And then before
okay.
the guards come, we could get some valuable information on what they may be planning or what the hell is going on.
Everybody make a perception check for me, please.
Cal, what did I see when I was looking through Bart's eyes? What is Koshka doing?
Oh my god, I hate Roll20 tonight.
He's standing at the the sink. The water is running, but he doesn't seem to actually be doing anything. He's just kind of standing there. He's holding a bottle, but he doesn't seem to be doing anything.
Like looking at it or staring into space, or
just kind of staring into space.
Okay.
I really hope he's not dead already.
Me too.
So Eleonora, as you guys are trying to are like talking and discussing, trying to figure out exactly what it is that you're doing, you can hear coming up the gravel path that kind of leads up to the Sultan's Arcade, you can hear metal boots. You're pretty sure that the guard is coming now.
Okay.
All right, we need to
I tell them, guys, we have to do something.
Yep.
The guards are here. I think if you just go in invisible and I give you my Raven invisible with the invisible spell, you can just turn Koshka invisible as soon as the guard open the door and you just guard him.
Yep.
I think that's the best
Let's
way
do
to do it. All right. So I prepare. I turn everybody invisible. It's fine. I give the Raven the invisibility spell on touch. Turn the Raven invisible and turn Kada invisible. 3 times invisibility.
3 casts of invisibility. Cool. Yep.
And I throw little eyelashes at everybody because I think that's the component.
Yeah.
You see me like throwing eyelashes around.
It's like eyelashes and chewing gum.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So wait, so you're turning me and the Raven invisible, and then when we get to Koshka, you're turning him invisible.
Yes, through the Raven.
Yep. Right, so I'll like grab Hawk and like pull him up, and then head towards it. I know Alicia's not here, but I might kind of gesture at her at the other door.
Yep. She just kind of nods, heads over to the other door, and just kind of like stands next to it, like arms crossed, just like waiting.
Yeah.
Okay. Roll a stealth check with advantage because 22. You're able to get up to the door, open it, close it, and do so in such a way that it looks like just a draft is just like opening the door slightly, and then like you're able to like close it behind you, or leave it open if you would like.
Both of us, right?
Yep, you and the Raven.
And Hawk.
And Hawk, yeah.
Wait, Hawk is going with you?
I
If
thought that
that's
was the
what
plan.
you want.
Is that not the plan?
Because the guards are almost here, there's not really a point of exchanging Koshka.
Okay, fair point. All right, no Hawk. He
Okay.
can stand with Alicia then, I guess. Okay. So I will go over to Koshka and stand within range that I'm able to protect him from anyone who should come attack him, but not close enough that he will feel something.
Okay. Eleonora, do you send the Raven over?
Yes.
Okay.
Touches him.
Katie, you feel like the flapping of wings. You can hear just vaguely. Koshka kind of like turns around for a second, just like, huh? And then you just see him disappear.
Okay.
So what you hear is After a couple of seconds, you hear some whispering coming from down the stairs. You hear what sounds like footsteps heading up towards the door. And then suddenly you just hear like bang, flap, as both of the doors that kind of lead in here are basically booted open, and in come like 4 or 5 guards. These look like they probably were. These are outfitted like they would have been like palace guards. Like they have like full like plate mail and like they're like long spear weapons. They're like polished to a T. And they just kind of like file into the room. One of them like heads up to the door and just kind of like whacks it open. You see as one of the deep dwarves who had been standing behind the door gets kind of like knocked down the stairs, falls down, and these people just start like filing in like one after the other down into this basement.
Can I just, sorry, as all the guards come in and stuff, I just want to grab for where Koshka's hand was
Okay.
to hopefully grab him to stop him bolting.
Roll 2d6 for me, please. 6. Okay, you reach out to try and grab his hand where it was, but there's nothing there anymore.
Okay.
And just as you're about to kind of like try and reach out to be like, okay, where could he possibly be? This is when like guards are like filing past you, like running. Make a perception check for me, please. 13. Okay. You can see that a couple of the bottles on the counter seem to be like moving slightly more than the others.
What do you mean they're moving more than the others?
So some of them are kind of like jittering around because there's a bunch of people running through the room. There are ones which seem to be like actually like moving around the counter.
Okay. So I'll try and move closer, and if try and get my hand like close to one of the bottles. So like if he's holding it, I'll grasp his wrist.
Make a dexterity check for me, please.
A saving throw?
No, just a check.
Oh.
17. You're able to grab it, and you hear just like the slightest like squeak of just like what?
Like as I grab him and he squeaks, I'll just say, "Does he know me? Does he know who I am?"
Yeah, he's seen you before.
Okay, cool. I'll just say, "It's Kada. I'm here to help. Just stay put."
You after like a couple seconds, you kind of like feel the tension relax, and he's just like, okay. About kind of 30 seconds of kind of shuffling, and the sound of like some steel on steel later. All the sound kind of stops down in the basement. Upstairs in the kind of meeting room, like the meeting has just like stopped dead as you hear all of this. There's like just like silence that lasts and kind of hangs in the air for about 10, 15, 20 seconds, 30, until eventually you hear the sound of boots coming back up the stairs, and you see restrained in various different kind of chains and manacles on both the hands and feet. You see the other 7 as they come up the stairs one by one, being escorted by a guard. But there's only 6. And then eventually you see, being dragged up the stairs, you can see one of the drow, the male one, Thaniel, is carried up in the arms of one of the soldiers, and he seems to have several deep gashes across his chest and his face, and he is dead.
Can I take
Can you...
Take him, she said.
Oh, take him.
Yeah, sorry.
So, what... You see this guard walking with him. What do you do to try and take him?
May I take the dead as a sign of respect? We are unclear as to how he may have died, but I may be able to look at his wounds and determine whether or what weapon may have been used for any evidence.
Make a... Okay, I'm asking you this out of character. Are you lying right now about why you want the body?
Yeah, I'm totally gonna go with deception, but my deception is
make
really
a deception
cack.
check.
Why did you say that? You should have said no. That's totally the truth.
I'm not gonna lie.
No, that yeah. So make a deception check. Okay. Do you have any inspiration dice you may want to use on that one?
I give her mine.
Oh, I love you.
Okay, roll a d6.
And she gets the 14 as well.
Okay, you got up to 14. Do you want to use an inspiration die, or...
No.
Oh, wow.
14, 15 is just enough.
Oh yes.
Okay, so you can see the guard kind of like turns to look at you and is about to be in the middle of like, ma'am, this is a matter for the town, and then he like notices the necklace that you're wearing, and he sees the like slightly smeared blood still on it, and he's just like, of course, mother. My apologies. Where should I leave him?
I will take him. He won't be heavy.
Very well. And he kind of like holds it out for you to take his body.
Okay. At this point, I'm gonna just fox out right now because I've got something in mind. So I hulk out in front of everyone. I don't even care at this point. I take him and I run back to the church.
Okay. You run back to the church. We'll stick with you for this to kind of like round out the end of this episode. We'll follow you to the church. What is it you are doing here with this body?
The second I lay him down on the floor, I'm going to use Speak with Dead.
Okay. So, a few moments go by. You light the incense and kind of surround him with it. And you touch your holy symbol and kind of like place the other hand on his forehead. And then after a second, he takes in kind of like a sharp breath, kind of like a... And you can see like his eyes are still kind of glazed over, but for a brief second he is now breathing again, and he looks towards you. Let me see. Yeah, you get up to 5 questions.
Tammy.
Thaniel, I know who you are. Do you remember what happened?
Be more specific.
He says, "Yes, I remember." You have 4 questions left.
Who stabbed you and why?
Was one of the town guard. A young boy. Well, probably 19. Human. I came at him with a knife. He defended himself. You have 3 questions left.
I am on a mission for our Mother of the Night. I know your sister to be of much devout. Do you know any of others that were as devout as your sister?
As devout as Serena, you're hard-pressed to find people as devout as her. I believed pretty strongly, but pales in comparison to her. Honestly, no. Two questions left.
I'm thinking.
Where are the treasures?
You can see as you are kind of contemplating what to ask him, that kind of around like the base of his skull, you can see like veins starting to blacken. You can see the kind of the flesh starting to grey and go pallid. The life that you had breathed into him for these questions is starting to fade.
Is there anything I should be careful of? Anyone undevout that may have been close to Gelric and a heretic?
Pretty much all of us except me and Serena. The others didn't really care for the faith. They were just in it for the fun. The hobgoblins, they are the most dangerous of the bunch.
Even Helek?
Especially Halleck.
Lolth favours him.
Well, I suppose I will be able to ask her why that is myself sometime soon. You can see the eyes are starting to kind of... The life is starting to leave them. You have time for one more question.
May you rest well. 8 blessings to you. I can't think of anything else to ask you.
8 blessings, Silk Mother. I hope she is kind to me. And then his eyes close, never to open again.
Damn it! I go to get ready to bury the bugger.
We kind of like we kind of zoom out again. We've got kind of like an aerial shot of him as he kind of closes his eyes, and you leaning over, you standing up and walking away. We kind of like zoom out as if we're kind of like moving up through into the rafters of the church, and then fade into darkness. And that is where we're going to end tonight's episode. So thank you very much for watching, guys. Apologies for some technical difficulties during the show. Sometimes that's just the way with these kind of things. Thank you for sticking with it, and we hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. So just again to say, we are in association with and presented by Horsham Gamers. We're a local group. We cover all kinds of gaming, through from tabletop and board games and RPG stuff like this, through to esports, competitive gaming, Warhammer, creative endeavours, anything you can think of if it's to do with nerd culture. We're into it too, and we'd love to speak to you, meet some more of you. So please do pop along to some of our events. Have a look for us on Facebook at Horsham Gamers, or on Discord also at Horsham Gamers. We'll be posting in there about all of the events that we have coming up, and we hope to see and meet some of you soon. Thank you again to those who came on the weekend to come to Horsham Gaming Festival. It was really lovely to meet some members of the community, and yeah, we hope that you will continue to be wonderful parts of our community. So, thank you very much for watching, and thanks everyone for playing, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.